Kidwai, Chairman, Rothschild and Co. Company, India, and Senior Advisor, Advent Private Equity, to kindly weave the eminent speakers into a conversation. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. And as I understand it, it is a fireside chat with the Finance Minister.
Yes, ma'am.
We want to make the most of the 20 minutes allocated.
Ma'am, I think now you have about 10 to 12 minutes.
You have cut it down.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, just very quickly, what we've heard is of a future of financing which is not just dreaming, but already on the path of implementation. I do believe that, Finance Minister, while you have set out the challenges in a VUCA environment, and VUCA it is, the pace and speed at which we respond is obviously going to be key, because we are going to have to pivot and change as we move along. I do thank Ruth for having come in with the important messages around whatever we do, whether digital or otherwise. Inclusion is a very important message. Diversity, women and gender, a very key part of it. And of course, ensuring that these financial transitions happen and include all. And Richard, from you, the innovations in the space, bringing in some of the innovations which you have already implemented. We certainly need to see more of these InVITs and products which bundle what is working and refinance those so that we can make money available for what it is required. So thank you for that. I have what is a very difficult task of actually now pinning the Finance Minister down on some of these amazing visions that she has set out for us. And within that, the first, you talked about the UPI. It truly is a remarkable system. India is leading the world in terms of its payments infrastructure. And the ability we have to grow on the back of that is truly immense. I hear that there are other countries that are reaching out to us, wanting to replicate this success. Can you comment on that and how India can play a part now in a global payment system, given the success of the Indian system under the UPI?
Yes, you're right. Several countries have shown interest. We've already sort of reached an understanding with Singapore. RuPay is acceptable in UAE. Some kind of an MOU has already been signed with France on the payment portals. The UPI is now actually being very clearly showcased as one of the biggest achievements of India, and therefore many countries have started talking about it. 3 tangible cases where we've already reached a level of agreement. More are in the works. So interest on UPI, and in fact many global multilateral meets also raise the issue of our payment portals, which is the UPI, RuPay, and so on. So we keep talking about it in most of the bilaterals. Countries are interested in it. I would think sooner you will get to know more about the other countries which are also getting to the stage of signing some kind of agreement with us. It is going to help quicker, easier, trouble-free remittances being done, and also the cross-border payments of bulk, wholesale, large transactions can be absolutely facilitated. We are glad that we have reached this stage, and we would certainly like to talk about it to many other countries and multilateral institutions as well.
There was a lot of conversation, both through your speech and also Ruth and Richard, on fintech, where you have rightly pointed out India's adoption rates are higher than anywhere else in the world. In fact, India is 3 times the digital transactions in 2022 of the US, UK, EU, and the Japanese economies combined. So the sheer scale of what we do is enormous. And within that, you also highlighted the unicorns that have embraced fintech and made it their mission to become bigger and scale up as we go. What would you say are the opportunities for global players to be engaged more with India on our fintech journey?
Well, first, I think the most obvious one is systems will have to be talking to each other. Great systems can exist in a silo, and in a technologically driven world, if they remain in a silo, it's a shame. So I would think it is important for most technology investing agencies or technology proponents and countries which are looking at better transactional flow they will have to now sit and talk to each other to see how best their systems can talk to the other systems as well. Otherwise, interoperability and its advantages will all be lost. So I think that's the first thing which countries as well as, let us say, the builders of such platform will have to think about.
And of course, you did highlight that there was an opportunity on the funding therein through venture capital, private equity, and all those spaces. I would, really now want to turn to green financing. Right through the morning, as we looked at the future of India, the messages around sustainability and environment have come up. We know that very little of this is possible without green financing or financing that moves to support the ESG areas. It's a tough field. We know that the $100 billion promised by the rest of the world for emerging markets is something we can only hope for. There's little indication that those promises will be met. But we have to forge ahead, and your government, our government, has certainly shown that there's a commitment to it. What would you like to see more of in order to enable this financing as we go ahead, so that the commitments that we have made as a country, which go well beyond renewables, it's every aspect of green financing. What would you like to see from the rest of the world in terms of helping us fulfill these commitments? And what can we do more of in financing this?
There's so much to say for this question, Naina. First of all, I like to put it on record, and I'm sure many of you know it, but it's worth recollecting here, that the commitments made by our Honorable Prime Minister in Paris COP21, most of which have been fulfilled in advance, well in advance of the deadline that we had before us, have been done by the sheer drive, political will, and also pushing for renewable energy and so on, but with completely Indian money. So the achievements of our nationally determined commitments given in COP21 was done by our own money. We didn't get money, we didn't ask for money from anywhere else. Now further and more ambitious commitments are made in Scotland. We'll have to fulfill it, we will work towards it, and we clearly are setting ourselves goals with which we can achieve it, and we'll move forward. But if you look at it from the point of view of environment and fairness of funding, also from the point of view of per capita emission, countries like India are willingly moving forward on renewable, but probably are bearing the cost and the brunt of it in a disproportionately higher rate level, call it what you want, disproportionately higher burden falls on countries like India. If our per capita emission is probably 1/10 of what is elsewhere, we seem to be funding so much towards complying with the commitments given by us. 100 billion is still on its way. 5 years or 6 years have gone by. We've not seen anything of that. Not just we, no other country has seen it. Island nations are drowning. Coastal areas are getting eroded. Unusual events of rain, which should happen over 3 or 4 months, pours on a single day. You see the flooding which is happening. These are not things which are isolated in some part of the world, it's across the board. All of us will have to do something towards it. But no transfer of technology will happen. No monies will be pooled in to collectively help countries. But yet, every one of us want the ambition to be even further, higher and higher. It's just not going to be possible for many countries. We clearly are showing progress towards renewable, we are moving towards solar, we are getting wind. Some of the solar parks that are established in India rival those of, or even make the parks which are elsewhere minuscule compared to the size that we are doing. But that is the scale at which we are doing it because we commit ourselves and we believe in it. But so, the one thing which, if I were to ask, we need more global cooperation. Probably less talk. So, that's where it is.
So, so I see the time is up, and I must thank you for picking up the challenge on a very tough question on financing our green ambitions. And you're absolutely right, Finance Minister Ji, that whatever we do in the country, we must continue to do, but we do need that global cooperation. I have to thank you for highlighting all that we are doing. There is a rightful optimism that you bring to us being on that journey. We do need the support of the rest of the world, but we also give back to the rest of the world through some of the technologies which we have now implemented here and are now taking out. So on that note, may India lead and India will succeed. So thank you.
Thank you, and very well closed. And ladies and gentlemen, we also thank the Honourable Minister for sparing your valuable time and gracing this occasion. Thank you very much indeed, ma'am. And we close the proceedings of this session here. Thank you, each one of you, for participating. And ladies and gentlemen, I would request everybody else to kindly remain seated as we are straight away moving to the next session, plenary session 6 on sustainable travel and tourism.